He's got his own show on DAZN in Westwood One every day from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Time. He's America's sweetheart, Pat McAfee. How are you, Pat?
Rich, I'm much better now that I just heard that incredible introduction from one of the GOATs in the sports talking head world. I appreciate your love every time you have me on.
You know that, Pat. You know that. You know that. We're cut from a similar cloth, even though people would not believe that just on its own face, Pat. You know what I mean? We are.
Well, I mean, you went to Michigan. I went to West Virginia.
Yes.
You are very sophisticated. I got a little less couth in the booth. But, hey, the fact that we both have appreciation for ball kickers and solid personalities, our moms would say, that makes us a win-win and a match made in damn heaven.
Well, let's go straight to the heart of the brand just to start things off, Pat. You mentioned the word GOAT. Drew Brees is a GOAT. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the all-time great Purdue Boilermakers. He gave a great speech to the team. He was brought in on his bye week to Purdue, delivered a great speech prior to Purdue going out and beating Nebraska. Just want to play a quick portion of it right now as he went after a very impassioned story talking about he met his wife there and what Purdue means to him. Went position by position group, and we sliced it up as he went position by position group addressing the team. Roll it.
Where's my DBs? Man, you guys got to play with swagger today. Linebackers, hit somebody, man. Wide receivers, man, make that play. Running backs, man, I love you boys. QBs, we throw darts, man. Balls don't touch the ground. Tight ends, maybe the best athletes on the field. We ask you to do everything, man. O-line, you control the game. All times. D-ends, I would say I fear you guys. D-tackles, man, you hold strong. You hold the fort down. Defining moment today. If you're with me, give me 2 claps. If you're with me, give me 2 claps. Let's go.
Pat, 2 claps. That's 1 clap for each position group he kind of left out. Wouldn't you say, Pat?
Yeah, Drew Brees is this incredible quarterback, okay? His motivational speeches before NFL games when he's in the huddle of the Saints there.
Second and
1 for me, 2 for you, 3. The whole thing's going. It's nothing short of mesmerizing. And then walking into that boiler-up locker room, we all knew what was going to happen. He was going to give an impassioned speech, and those kids were going to go run through a wall and get a win against Nebraska. And he left out, arguably, the 2 most important positions on the entire team, and I would say it's because of this.
Yes.
Drew Brees is a very smart man. It's not easy to graduate from Purdue. It's a bunch of nerds there. He knows that the kickers and punters don't need to be motivated. He knows that kickers and punters are going to show up every week and do their job. He knows that unlike all the other position groups, the kickers and punters for the Purdue Boilermakers were going to ball out against Nebraska, so he just didn't even waste his breath. He said, listen, let's get right to the claps. Let's get right to the antics. Let's get right to the let's goes. We don't need to motivate those who are already self-motivated, and that's what kickers and punters are because not only does Drew Brees leave us off lists, a lot of times talking heads do, very much unlike yourself, Rich Eisen.
Hashtag for the brand, everybody. That's a mic drop. I knew Pat McAfee would be able to handle that. I knew it. We're having our fun, but could you imagine you're one of the punters or kickers in that room as the GOAT goes position by position, then gets to the claps? Oh, my gosh. Could you imagine?
I wish he would have, Rich. I wish at West Virginia he would have came in there.
What would have happened? What would have happened?
Hey, Drew. I mean, it's not often you get motivated by one of the greatest players of all time. How about you give me a little speech here, pal? Maybe I pull him aside. Hey, Drew, you robbed my friend Pat McAfee of a Super Bowl with your baby there his rookie year down in Miami. Is there any way you could potentially give me a motivational speech, or Drew? A little one-on-one, little side combo here? Or are you a positionist, Drew? Do you hate kickers and punters? What's the deal, Drew? That's what I would say.
Oh, man. One of my favorite tweets of yours this season, I haven't brought this up to you, was when they showed Rich Rod in the booth. Okay, he's in OC right now. And what he's on Ole Miss? Is that where he is? Is he the OC? Where's Rich Rod right now at Ole Miss? And they showed him. He got so angry and upset. It was on like a camera. And what did you tweet? You tweeted something about like that you've been there or done that. What was that about? That was fantastic. Do you remember that? What you said?
Well, that is a Rich Eisen, or that's a Rich, not Rich Eisen.
Yeah.
That is a Rich Rodriguez
Yeah.
staple right there. The look away yell. He's so angry. He wants to yell so loud, but he has to look down and away from you so he doesn't just project all of his spit on you, and he's so mad. That is something that I've been on the other end of a couple of times. And one that I referred to was that he heard 5 different stories about what happened last night. I had a team camaraderie building barbecue at my house. It was not a party. He told me straight to my face I was not allowed to have any party, so I did not have a party. I had a team camaraderie building barbecue at my house. It started at 8 p.m. It ended at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, team camaraderie builder. And 3 of my teammates left that party and got arrested later that evening. So the next morning, I had to go in, and he pulled me into his office, and it was that same reaction from the video you saw of him in the booth, punching air, yelling. And he said, I've heard 3 blank damn stories about what happened last night, and they all start at your mother trucking house. And I had to tell him that I have a duplex. You know, I live in a duplex, and I was having a barbecue, and the house was connected to my house. They were having the party, so I can understand where the confusion is. And he made me run the steps of the stadium for 2 weeks. It was great, 6 a.m. stadium.
So he did not accept the issue of the detail that it couldn't be your house because you actually lived in a duplex. He did not accept that, Pat? He rejected that?
Well, the issue with this is the fire marshal got called to this party. Every police officer in Morgantown was called to this party. They let us have it. So my story did not check out with literally of anybody of authority that had to speak to Rich Rod. So, I mean, I thought it was valid, though. There was 2 separate houses that were connected, and
Sure.
I was having the barbecue. They were having the party, but I could easily see how the fire marshal, the chief, and the sheriff would all be confused about that.
Pat McAfee here on the Rich Eisen Show. All right, man. That's why I call you America's sweetheart, Pat. That is just fantastic. Let's get to some of the news of the day here. Cam is done for the year. He was put on IR about 40 minutes before we started talking. And Glazer's pointing out the team can save $19 million by cutting or trading him on just one last year on his contract. Do you think he's played his last game for the Carolina Panthers, Pat?
I do believe so. I mean, Elizabeth Frank is a tough lady to deal with to begin with, and I think whenever the Carolina Panther offense got a spark when Kyle Allen got in there, it was almost like the writing was on the wall there. This is Christian McCaffrey's team now. It's no longer Cam Newton's, and I think Cam Newton was an incredible quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. A lot of great things came to the Carolina Panthers organization with Cam Newton under the helm. But for me, he's a completely different player now. He doesn't seem like he loves it as much. I got a chance to watch him play against our team on a Monday Night Football down in Carolina in the middle of a rainstorm. And he was loving football. He was loving his position. He was basically the guy that stands in front of an orchestra and waves the 2 sticks. I don't understand. I guess it's a pretty important position. What's that called? The guy that what's his name?
I'm just
he was a maestro. There it is.
Yeah, he's a maestro.
Out there.
Okay, very good.
He was the maestro. By the way, that's a real position I've learned for telling this story. I thought they just stood up there and clapped their hands on beat, but he was like the maestro of the entire city, of the entire organization. They're playing the Superman theme song. He was diving over people. He was celebrating touchdowns for like 2 minutes long while extra points were being kicked. He was taking the ball to the crowd. I mean, it was a show. It was a spectacle. And then something happened, and I do believe it all tracks back to whenever Von Miller stripped that ball from him. It stripped his happiness. He seems like he's a completely different player. He doesn't seem like he loves the game as much. And now the offense at the beginning of the year with him at the helm, it seemed like a dull one. Kyle Allen comes in, ignites something, lights a spark in that offense. They get going. Christian McCaffrey gets an MVP conversation. So now, not only business-wise does it help them to release Cam Newton, $19 million, I think for Cam Newton it'll be good for him too. He has to go somewhere. He's a super competitive guy who has to reprove himself, not just on the field when he's playing, but also in meeting rooms, in the weight room. I think a new place could be very good for Cam Newton. I thought they were going to trade him. They did not. But I don't think we've seen the end of Cam Newton's football career, but I do believe it's the last time we've ever seen him with a Panther uniform on.
So it seems that he's going to be available in March. Pat. So the question is, if nothing changes between now and March in Chicago, would you say goodbye to Trubisky and bring in Cam Newton? Yay or nay? Would you do that?
Yeah, Rich. I mean, we've all seen. Yes. I mean, the Bears fans too. They got to ride or die with their people. They were behind Mitchell Trubisky for a while. Then they got off the Mitchell Trubisky bandwagon. Now it's kind of like everybody's against Nagy because he's not drawing up the proper plays. I mean, last year Mitchell Trubisky was the number 3 overall QBR quarterback. This year he's next to dead last, and he never gets out of the pocket. When last year he had a lot of success. So a lot of people think, wait, is Nagy tanking for Trubisky? Is he making him look bad and not putting him in good positions? Nobody really knows. But it's a very different quarterback from last year, Mitchell Trubisky, and with that defense, whenever they're playing good, they are dominant. You get a quarterback that can run the ball and make some plays like Cam Newton. If he's the Cam Newton of old, it seems like a match made in heaven, especially for the fans that scream, Bear, Don. They would love Cam Newton up there.
So have you heard of that before? I mean, I just want to make sure you're just where a coach doesn't like the quarterback anymore and he feels that he's, let's just say he's a reigning coach of the year and he's got some sort of status that he would start exposing his own quarterback to get rid of him? Would that actually happen?
No, I've never heard that in my entire life. These are just things that are said on the internet, Rich, and the internet is never wrong.
And by the way, before I move on to another topic, I should just make sure that everyone understands. Elizabeth Frank is not, say, the name of the capologist in Carolina. You just used the full name of what you think is Liz Frank, although Liz Frank is not a woman, but rather the last name of the male doctor who discovered the part of the foot where this injury takes place and thus was named after him, right? You're aware of that, right, Pat?
Yeah, but when his family came to America, it was actually Elizabeth Frank, his last name. They shortened it down to Liz Frank. So it depends on how deep you really go into the investigations here, Rich.
Yes.
Nevertheless, Elizabeth Frank is a terrible person in the foot.
Speaking of foot, you sat next to Rex Ryan when he made a reference to his supposed situation, and the look on your face on Get Up, Pat. I had to freeze it. And take a snapshot of it. You were a mood. You're my mood for that sort of stuff. That was amazing.
I appreciate that. Get a chance to go and Get Up. It's just it's awesome. It is,
dude.
It's a whole different style of talking sports than I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
If you get me next to Rex Ryan, who is a legend, I have a blast in there, man. It's very early, though, so I'm wide open. I'm a little bit loopy normally.
What a moment.
Just let it rip, bub.
What a moment that was. Do you like the move to Foles instead of Minshew that was just made about an hour before we started talking, Pat? Do you like that move?
This is so interesting, right? Because, the Houston Texans over there in London town, which, by the way, every time I get a chance to listen to you call a game with 3 other humans in the booth,
yes,
which is not easy at all, you handle that thing in a beautiful fashion.
Thanks, brother.
Think you deserve a lot more credit than you get for calling games. Those waking up with you and the boys over there is a thing of beauty. I wish we could do more often.
Bless you. Me too. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it.
You had a couple slip-ups. Let's not say it was a perfect game, but
come on, man. You were kind to give me a compliment. I accepted it with grace and just, a little humility. And you don't need to point out that I thought, Carlos Hyde was Duke Johnson. And it's tough to see when the hell Watson has the ball or not. And I'm 50 years old, and Wembley's got 84,000 people in it. Come on, man. Oh, that's funny.
Rich, I thought you did great. Honestly, I thought you, not your best stuff, but I thought you did really good on it.
Wow.
I did. I loved
it. Thank you.
You, Mooch, Kurt, and Irv have a beautiful chemistry, and I feel like I learn and I enjoy the game from a completely serious point. You do a great job in there. And with Gardner Minshew,
yes.
This has been an interesting phenomenon here. Let alone the jorts and the mustache and the incredible personality and the ability to win games for the Jaguars out of nowhere. They paid Foles a lot of money, and I think the Foles thing might go down as one of the most interesting careers in the history of a quarterback that has won a Super Bowl. Most Super Bowl quarterbacks who are Super Bowl MVPs and everything like that, kind of a standard blueprint. You get drafted to a team, you do well there, you win, or you go to another team and you become the head guy and you win there. for him, it's just like he was never really the guy, and then he almost quit, had a kumbaya situation out in the woods with his brother-in-law, comes back, goes on this miraculous run. His organization says, we're going to go with the guy who always gets hurt over you, send him down to Jacksonville, he gets paid, then he gets hurt while playing very well, and another guy gets hot in his replacement. I mean, I don't know. I think you're off to a good start if you have Nick Foles at quarterback. I think Big Richard Nick can really do some things if he gets going, but I think Gardner Minshew is going to be a pretty hot topic on the trade market this upcoming offseason if he's available. So I think the Jaguars got a lot to figure out, but a plethora of quarterbacks is not a bad thing to have.
Last one for you, Pat. We started the conversation with kickers and GOATs, and the GOAT kicker missed one in a manner that it's so rare to see him miss, period, let alone miss as Adam Vinatieri did. You represented him, obviously, on game day, college game day at his alma mater, expertly, I might add, a couple of weeks ago. Should I be concerned about Adam Vinatieri? How concerned should I be right now about the GOAT, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's not hitting the ball as clean as you would hope for him to be hitting the ball and as clean as he has in the past. And I even acknowledge that during that game, during the Steelers game, he wasn't hitting the ball exactly clean. He was hitting a little bit fat, but a lot of kickers can hit the ball fat and the ball goes through the uprights. So I think that last one, when it came down to game time to win the game, a minute 15 left or whatever it is, as soon as he drops on the field, no matter how he has had or how he has hit the ball throughout the day, none of that matters because he's Adam Vinatieri. He's the GOAT. He's going to step up and hit this ball through. And then once you see the entire operation happen with the laces back and he gets a little bit chunky with it, I mean, it was just a recipe for disaster there. And I'm definitely worried about him, but I'm worried about the entire operation. And Luke Rhodes is an incredible long snapper. He knows that he didn't get the laces right there. Rigoberto Sanchez, who's an incredible punter and a good holder, he knows that he didn't help out there by moving the laces straight back. And Vinny could have made up for them all if he makes a quick adjustment, but he couldn't do that. So I think I'll be excited to see how that unit bounces back after a rough outing in Pittsburgh. But I really like this Colts team. I like them a lot, and Vinatieri is definitely going to have to get back on a hot streak if they're going to want to make a run.
Well, that said, though, having seen Deshaun Watson with my own two eyes calling a very choppy game on NFL Network, Pat, it's tough to think the Colts are going to take that division, though. Haven't seen that in person.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. They've already beat them, though. I mean, that's something that the Colts have done. They are built for success, too. Something happened with the offensive line the past couple of weeks. I mean, if that offensive line can get back on track and still be the road gritters that they were for the first, quarter of the season, I think they're set up for success. If you can run the ball and stop the run late in the year in December and January, that's what makes a winning team. And the Patriots have been incredible at that for a long time, so the AFC is always going to run through them. But the Houston Texans-Colts game is definitely going to be pretty vital. But I like the way that Chris Ballard has built the Colts. And to be honest, it's good that Deshaun Watson is all the way back because having the Houston Texans be good at football is good for the game. And I enjoy watching him play. He's a magic maker out there. He looks like a human joystick who can make all the throws.
He's amazing.
Got kicked in the face, thought he lost his eyeball, and then he plugged Popeye's chicken after the game. I mean, I love everything about Deshaun Watson, but I also like this Colts team a lot.
Well, I appreciate the compliment on my call, Pat, and I appreciate this call, too, immensely. By the way, I caught it all. Elizabeth Frank and Big Richard Nick was maybe my favorite highlight of this entire conversation.
Well, I'm on a lot of FCC-regulated things these days, Rich, so
it's amazing.
Changed me.
I don't even know who you are anymore, Pat, because you've got 50 million things going on. I always love chatting with you. Thanks for the call, brother. Let's do it again soon. And
I can't
have me on your show anytime. Come on.
I would love to have you on my show. I know you're very busy as well, and I can't thank you enough. You've always been nothing but kind to me.
Dude.
And I mean this. You need to call more games. I like when your voice is up there. You're really good at it.
Thanks, Patrick. You take care of yourself, brother.
All right, cheers.
Thanks. That's it. That's Pat McAfee.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.